Hello, everyone. Hello to everyone who doesn't know me yet, and hi to everybody that already does. My name is Micah Dank. I don't hide behind a picture on social media. I don't use a pen name. This is who I am, and I wanted to do this video because I want everybody that it reaches to in the religious community, from all the Jewish rabbis to the Pope to the Jesuits, it gets that far. I want you all to know that I did this to you. I'm going to have a website called pleasedebunkme.com. And to this day, I've put out many, many videos on the topics that I'm about to talk about. But the one thing that's never happened is someone has never come on, challenged me about what I talk about. So, what I'm going to do is this is to all the Jewish thought leaders, the Catholics, the Christian thought leaders, and Islam as well too, the Muslim thought leaders. I want you all to realize that you've been lied to, and I'm going to expose that, and I'm going to show you who's been lying to you, and that's what's going to happen. And some more stuff is going to happen in the future. There's some things that are planned, but as it stands right now, I want you all to know that I did this to you, and I want you to go ahead and make your best comeback video if you even can. Let's begin. The first time in human history this has ever been put together. My name is Micah Dank. I teach something called astrotheology. And a lot of you have been introduced to it by the um, the movie series Zeitgeist, but it did not even scratch the surface of what I'm going to show you. I have traced this science back 6,000 years. So if you think any of the holy books are ever original or were ever meant to be read literal, this is your wake-up call. And I'm sorry to have to rip the band-aid off, but this is the only way to understand this stuff, is the only way to set yourself and be free from religion, from everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you that I've been studying the Bible for 30 years. I've been studying the occult and esotericism for about 21 years. The word occult in Latin just means hidden. That's all it is. It's stuff that's hidden from you. Doesn't mean evil. And I've been studying astrotheology for 11 years. What you're going to see right now in this video is a culmination of all my work. So what I'm going to do is explain astrotheology to you. Astrotheology is basically the science of how the zodiac and the constellations they knew about at the time are encoded into the holy books, which is what the holy books are actually talking about. They're talking about things being encoded. And I'm going to show you that. So in order to understand astrotheology, you have to understand the science behind it. You have to understand the 12 zodiac signs. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the 12 zodiac signs. I'm going to give you keywords in each sign that's going to make sense to the sign. And then we're going to use those words as a cipher to decode things. Now, I've taken 6,000-year-old texts and I've applied this cipher to it, from the Sumerians all the way to the Quran. And that's what I'm going to show you. This is what everyone needs to know. And I'm really sick and tired of people not knowing this. Every day I go on social media and I see people arguing the religious aspect. Was Jesus real? Was he not real? What was real? What was real? This is your answer. This is your wake-up call. We're going to start with Aquarius. The first sign I talk about is Aquarius, which is represented by the man with the water pitcher. Now, technically, Aries begins the year. And even further back than that, Virgo began the year. However, because Aquarius is kind of around the time of our new year, which is in the middle of winter, which is idiotic, yet It is. Now, the story of Aquarius goes back to the story of Zeus and the young boy. This is where the story of Aquarius comes from. So, Aquarius, Zeus and the young boy. Zeus saw a 14-year-old blonde boy on Earth, and he wanted him in heaven. And the boy's father wouldn't let him go, so Zeus bargains with him, gives him land, money, animals, that sort of thing. Then the father lets the son go up to heaven. While the boy's in heaven, like in this picture, he's feeding everybody, all the gods, this drink called ambrosia, which is the nectar of the gods. Nowadays, it's just a whipped cream tangerine cherry salad, but it's what the gods used to drink. It was the elixir that they used to drink. He's feeding them every day. And one day he gets fed up and he goes to the side of heaven and he pours the water pitcher out, just like this, which causes a flood on earth. That's where the Greeks get their flood story. Remember, the flood story is not original. And what happens is Zeus, who's just a very sexual, very deviant and angry god, he's going to punish him. But in a moment of self-reflection, what he does instead of punishing him is he realizes he brought the boy up. He was young. He shouldn't have done that and things of that nature. So instead of punishing him, he immortalizes him as the constellation of Aquarius. So here are the key words in Aquarius based on what I just told you and based on this picture. The son of man, or man, because Aquarius is the sign of the man, whereas Virgo is the sign of the woman. Baptism, because this is literally how you baptize someone. Water pitcher, because this is a water pitcher. Fountain, a lot of fountains are built like this. Stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea. Now, people who are into astrology will tell me that Aquarius is actually an air sign, and they're right, it is. However, because there's water in the picture, the people who wrote these ancient texts encoded water as Aquarius, whereas Pisces, right here, is the two fish in the water. Pisces is actually a mutable water sign. We'll get into that. But same thing, stream, river, pond, lake, sea, ocean. Now, whether you're talking about Aquarius water or Pisces water depends on the patterns in the sky that are going to come from it. And I'm going to show you that. I promise you this is all going to start to make sense. So Aries is the ram, and in Aries you have March 21st, which is the spring equinox. It's a 12-hour day and a 12-hour night. There's 3 different Passovers that happen every year in Aries. The first Passover is the Jewish Passover, which is when the angel of death passes over the houses in Egypt. And anyone that doesn't have the lamb, and remember the lamb is a baby ram, so the lamb or the ram's blood smeared on the doorpost, their firstborn sons get killed. Now the Christians change it, and it becomes the resurrection of God's son. See, every story in history is a different way of talking about the sun going through the 12 zodiac signs through its hero's journey, as Joseph Campbell puts it. Every story, every ancient god, everything. We're going to show you that. The third Passover is when the sun, literally on March 21st, will pass over the equator and start to make its way back up to its height in the summer solstice. You have 3 Passovers. So Aries being the ram, you have ram, lamb, shepherd, or ram's horn. This is what you have with Aries. Now Taurus is the bull, and this is as above, so below. When you look at the sky and you see Taurus during the season where it's supposed to be, you know that you need to put the plow on the bull so that you can plant the seeds so you can harvest in Virgo and Libra, which we'll get to. So whenever you hear bull, ox, calf, or cow, cow being the female bull, you're talking about Taurus. Now Gemini is the twins. It's the story of Castor and Pollux Troy, whose sister was Helen of Troy. It's the story of Achilles. So whenever you hear twins or brothers, they're talking about Gemini. Now Cancer is the crab, and the crab is the sideways moving creature. It shuffles like this. We don't do this. We don't shuffle like this unless we're doing like a sports drill. That's the only thing I could think of that we shuffle left, like side to side like that. We move forward, diagonally, but we don't back and forth, but we don't shuffle side to side. The reason that Cancer is the crab is because it's a metaphor, because the sun will shuffle from side to side. So here's what happens. Starting on December 25th, the sun rises a degree on its axis. The next day, an additional degree. The next day, an additional degree. The days are getting longer, the nights are getting shorter. When it stops at June 21st, that's the summer solstice. That's at its height. That's the longest day of the year, the shortest night of the year. Then on June 22nd, the sun doesn't rise another degree or lower a degree. What it does is it walks sideways like the crab for 3 days. Then on June 25th, it'll lower a degree. On June 26th, it'll lower another degree. And every single day thereafter, now the nights are getting longer, the days are getting shorter. When it hits December 21st, that's the winter solstice. It's the longest night of the year. It's the shortest day. The ancients would look out into the horizon and they would say, God's sun was dead. That's what they would tell each other because the sun wouldn't crack the horizon on the winter solstice. And then suddenly it walks sideways for 3 days again, just like it did in Cancer. So suddenly God's sun was dead for 3 days. Whereas on December 25th, or the birth of all the gods, all of them, they come back to life, including Jesus. The sun comes back to life. The sun is born again, the light of the world. The only begotten Son is born again on December 25th. So whenever you hear crab or beetle, and the reason beetle is because in the Egyptian times, the crab was actually the beetle in the zodiac. In fact, St. Augustine famously called Jesus the good beetle. Remember, Jesus is the sun. Now, we're not going to actually touch the New or the Old Testament because if you want to come to my YouTube channel and check my playlist for astrotheology, I'm putting a breakdown of every single book. But this is going to be everything besides that. So Leo is the king. He's the lion. He's the king of the jungle or the savannah, whatever you want to call it. The ruling planet of Leo is actually the sun. So whenever you hear lion, lioness, or cub, you're talking about Leo. Now, Virgo is the woman holding the wheat stalk, as you can see in this picture. Remember before when we said that you plant in Taurus? Remember what happens in Taurus? As above, so below. You see the bull in the sky? You put the plow on the bull because this was how it was done 2,000 to 4,000 years ago. Because now we have John Deere equipment that do it, but they used to use the bull. Well, what happens is the virgins would go out and cultivate the wheat in Virgo in order to make the bread for the year. So whenever you hear virgin, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn, these are all grainy things, all things that are harvested in Virgo. They're talking about Virgo. Also woman, because Virgo is the sign of the woman. Libra is the justice. It's the scales. It's the balance. It's the just one. The reason it's the justice is because it judges God's sun as it passes over the fall equinox and begins its descent into winter, into cold, into death. Now remember, on the spring equinox, it crosses the horizon. It crosses the equinox and starts to make its way back up top. It's being heralded. That's what's going on. It's being exalted. It's being sent back to its throne. Here, it's being sent into the underworld. So it's being punished. So the Jews always celebrate their New Year around the fall equinox. And 8 days after the Jewish New Year, there's a holiday called Yom Kippur, which is the day of judgment. Of course, the day of judgment is going to be in Libra, the justice, the scales, the balance, the just one, the judgment. Libra is also wine season. So when you plant for the grapes in Taurus, you could press the wine here. Ask any Italian. That's when you press the wine. So Libra is also olive oil season. That's when you press the olives. So there's 3 things going on in Libra, mostly. You have all law-related things like law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court, wine, vineyard, wine press, vine, grapes, olive oil or olive oil. That's Libra. Incidentally, frankincense and myrrh, what the wise men bring to Jesus, those are olive plants. So that has to do with Libra. If you watch my other videos, you'll get this. Scorpio is the scorpion, and he is the betrayer. When a scorpion bites you, it leaves an imprint in your skin that looks like a pair of lips. It's why the mafia has the kiss of death. That's where they get that from. Because here's the deal. The scorpion would bite you and you would knock it off and they'd be a pair of lips. But the lips are full of poison. So that's the metaphorical betrayal. All these are deep metaphors that you have to start to understand. They're not meant to be taken literally. So it's why Judas betrays Jesus with a kiss, because he represents Scorpio. There's 12 zodiac signs. There's 12 disciples. Each one of them represent one of them. And I go into that in other videos too. So the sun is judged in Libra right, over the equinox. Then it's betrayed in Scorpio. Finally, in Sagittarius, this is the man with the bow and the arrow. Shoots the arrow at the sun, effectively killing it. Why? And I went over this with you briefly just a minute ago. Because on December 21st, the sun is at its lowest point. December 21st is the last day of Sagittarius. That's the winter solstice. So whenever you hear horse, bow and arrow, spear, or horseman, or even death, when they talk about death, the death day in the zodiac wheel is December 21st. Sagittarius. Horse, bow and arrow, spear, or horseman is Sagittarius. Finally, you have Capricorn, who is the goat, because he likes to climb the mountain. You ever see a mountain goat climb a mountain on like a 2-inch ledge? That's what they do. And that's what the sun does, metaphorically, in the zodiac. Now, here's what happens. If you look at the bottom of the zodiac wheel that I have put over here, you'll see Capricorn. What you're going to do is you're going to start walking it to the left, a degree a day, walking up the wheel. That's what the sun does on its way to its height in Cancer. Cancer is the summer solstice. Cancer is the glory of Jesus, the glory of the sun, when everything's going well. And then from Cancer to Leo, that's the summertime. Leo, the ruling planet of Leo, is the sun. So you go from the solstice to the ruling planet. That is when the sun is in his glory. But it starts to climb up the great mountain in Capricorn, just like the goat. That's why Capricorn is the goat. Those are the 12 signs. Those are the story behind them. Now, let me add to that. What I have done is I have taken those 12 signs and I've taken the constellations that they knew about the time when they were written, including Ptolemy's list from 150 AD, where he listed the 48 constellations. Now, the 48 constellations that Ptolemy listed are not complete. For example, there's a constellation about the pig. It's called the pig. It's called Porcus. That's one of the constellations that was discovered by the Greeks in 500 BC. Ironically enough, the Chinese have a pig in their zodiac, literally, as one of their signs, and they discovered it around the same time, but it's not listed in Ptolemy's list. So you have to be very careful, and you have to understand that there's a lot to piece together. There's a lot of homework that went into what I'm showing you right now. This is 11 years worth of studying and figuring things out to try and give you the idea. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through each of the 12 signs again. And this time, I'm going to give you additional animals and things based on the constellations and what sign they're in. So we'll start with Aries, because Aries begins the year. Ram, lamb, shepherd, ram's horn. You know this already because I just told you this. Also, triangle, there's a constellation called Triangulum. And Draco. Draco is the dragon. Aries is a cardinal sign. Taurus, bull, calf, ox, cow. Now, queen is Cassiopeia, the seated woman, Andromeda, the chained woman, and it also used to refer to the belt, as in Orion's belt. Orion's belt sits between Taurus and Gemini. The next sign is Gemini. Twins, brothers, Little Bear, Ursa Minor, Charioteer or Chariot. Auriga is a constellation meaning charioteer or chariot. Incidentally, in the Bible, which I'm not going to get into because it's in other videos, but in the Bible, they always talk about horses and chariots, horses and chariots, horses and chariots. Well, the horse is Sagittarius, and the chariot is Auriga, which is in Gemini. Sagittarius and Gemini are opposing signs. If you look at this wheel right here that I have, Gemini is all the way at the top left of Cancer, and then you follow it to its opposing sign, that's Sagittarius. These are patterns that they make. Hunter, Orion. Rabbit, Lepus, which is in Gemini. Deer, Mariga. Camel, Leopard, Camelopardalis. These are all names when they bring these things up that reference certain constellations and certain things. Gemini is a mutable sign. There's 3 different kinds of signs. There's a cardinal sign. That's why there's cardinals in church. Each one of these 12 signs can be broken down into 3 10-day segments called deacons. That's why you have cardinals and deacons as positions in church, because it's astrology and they don't want you to know this. Okay? So the second sign is the fixed sign. So the cardinal brings you into the season because there's 4 seasons, there's 12 signs, so there's 3 signs in each season. The first sign in the season is the cardinal sign. The second sign is the fixed sign, and it's called the fixed sign because it's in the middle of the season. It's fixed in the middle of the season. Aquarius is winter, Taurus is spring. Leo is summer. Sorry, it took me a minute. And Scorpio is full. Sorry, a little bit of a brain fart. Cancer, crab, scarab, beetle. Great bear, little bear, Ursa Minor and Ursa Major are both in Cancer as well. Bees, beehive, because there's a constellation in Cancer called the Beehive Cluster. That's where the honey comes from. Honey. Dog, Canis Major, Canis Minor. Donkey, the constellation Acellus Borealis means donkey. The ship, Argo. Cancer is a cardinal sign. Leo, lion, lioness, cub. Water snake / serpent, Hydra. Little bear / great bear, it's also in Leo. Ship, Argo, is a fixed sign. Virgin, for Virgo, woman, wheat, grain, seed, barley, corn. Great bear, water snake, sea serpent, the constellation Raven, which is called Corvus. The cup, which is called Crater. The ship, which is Argo. Oh, and Virgo is a mutable sign. Libra, law, judge, justice, the just one, divorce, marriage, court. Wine, vineyard, wine press, olive oil. We went over that already. Water snake, serpent, hydra, cup, crater. The constellation Lupus is the wolf, and the ship is Argo. This is a cardinal sign. Scorpio, scorpion, betrayer, betrayal. Crown, Corona Borealis, the northern crown. Water snake, serpent, hydra. Wolf, lupus. Ship, Argo. Scorpio is the fixed sign. Sagittarius, horse, bow and arrow, spear, horseman. Wolf, lupus. Altar, like an altar. Ara, crown, Corona Australis, southern crown. Dragon, Draco. Milk, Milky Way. So, the Milky Way galaxy centers in Sagittarius. The Beehive Cluster is in Cancer. So your land of milk to honey is from Cancer to Sagittarius. It's not a place on Earth. It's a place in the heavens, guys. So, Capricorn, goat, kid, vulture, eagle, Lyra, eagle, Aquila, cardinal sign. Aquarius, son of man, man, baptism, water pitcher, water jar, fountain, stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea, dragon, Draco, vulture, eagle, Lyra, eagle, Aquila, swan, Cygnus, sea monster, whale, Cetus. Pisces, stream, river, pond, lake, ocean, sea, fish, Leviathan, Dagon, Mithra. These are all ancient fish gods. In fact, the Pope's hat, it's called a mitre, and it comes from Mithra. It's actually Dagon worship. These are all fish gods. Leviathan, Dagon, Mithra, these are all fish gods. Why? Because the last 2,000 years we were in Pisces, the 2 fish. And if you take the Pope's hat, the mitre, off, and you turn it to the side, and feel free to look this up, it's a fish head. That's the reason why. Because they're borrowing from that. So I just wanted to pause for a minute for you guys to think, do I expect you to remember all this stuff? Hell no. But as I bring this up, I have brought it up to you already. As we go on and start decoding things, I'm going to show you through repetition, and you're going to remember me saying it. So I don't expect you guys to remember this. I do want you guys to eventually study this so that you too can reclaim your dominion and figure things out. But I wanted you to see this firsthand and That's basically it. So let's pause for a sec and then let's continue. Okay, so let's begin. This is the Epic of Gilgamesh. I'm going to give you examples from literature for the last 6,000 years. And I'm going to show you how the cipher that I came up with and what I just put together applies. So this is the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's a Sumerian story. We're going to go into it. May the bear mourn you, the hyena, the panther, the leopard, deer, jackal, lion, wild bull, gazelle. May the rivers Ulaya and Euphrates mourn you, whose sacred waters we offered to the gods. May the young men of the great walled Uruk mourn you, who cheered when we slaughtered the bull of heaven. May the farmer mourn you, who praised you to the skies in his harvest song. May the shepherd mourn you, who brought you milk. May the brewer mourn you, who made you fine beer. May Ishtar's priestess mourn you, who massaged you with the sweet-smelling oil. May the wedding guests mourn you like their own brother. You ready? The bear is the constellation Ursa Major, the Great Bear, which is Gemini and Cancer. The hyena is Eltanin, the hyena, and the third knot in Draco's tail, Aries to Sagittarius. The panther is Alanthepedia. The panther is made up of 26 stars. The leopard is Camelopardalis. Remember, Camelos, Pardalis, leopard. It is in Gemini. Mriga, or the deer, is located in Orion, between Taurus and Gemini. The lion is Leo. The wild bull is Taurus. The rivers are the water in Pisces, the water sign that signifies water. The bull of heaven is Taurus. It's literally a bull in heaven, guys. The shepherd is Aries, as previously mentioned. The milk comes from the Milky Way galaxy, whose center is in Sagittarius. The brewer and the fine beer is from the barley, which is harvested in Virgo. Ishtar's priestess is Virgo, the woman. The sweet-smelling oil is the oil from Libra. The mourning like their own brother is Gemini, the brothers. Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Sagittarius are 4 of 4 major points of the zodiac. Aries, spring equinox, Cancer, summer solstice, Libra, fall equinox, Sagittarius, winter solstice. The solstice is in the equinox. If you plot these all on the zodiac, it lights up the entire thing. The solstices and the equinoxes, also form the cross of God's son, which comes up much later in Christianity. So Gemini, Cancer, Aries to Sagittarius, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Sagittarius, Taurus, Leo, Pisces, Virgo. There are 10 signs in this passage that I just read you. It's just missing Scorpio and Capricorn. Scorpio the scorpion and Capricorn the goat. Astrotheology in Enki in the world order. This is another Sumerian tablet. This is 5 to 6,000 years old. Father Enki, engendered by a bull, begotten by a wild bull. Great dragon who stands in Eridug, a grove of vines extending over the land, where stags are born, where wild goats are born in meadows. You close up the days and make the months enter their houses. The bull is Taurus. The dragon and its tail goes from Aries to Sagittarius. The stag is the deer, which is Mriga, which is in Orion, which is between Taurus and Gemini, and the goats are Capricorn. We have Gemini, Taurus, Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, and Sagittarius. The months entering their houses, speaking of the months being locked in their zodiac houses. In this tablet, this is basically the first passage that opens this 6,000-year-old tablet. There are 7 signs here. So the first one that I gave you, the Epic of Gilgamesh, had 10 signs. This one has 7 of the zodiac. This is the third Sumerian tablet that I have done. It's Enki and Ninhura Saja. In Dilmun, the raven was not yet cawing, the partridge not cackling, the lion did not slay, the wolf was not carrying off the lambs, the dog had not been taught to make kids curl up, the pig had not learned that grain was to be eaten. The raven is the constellation Corvus, which means raven and borders Virgo. The lion is Leo. These two are connecting signs on the zodiac wheel. I showed you what an opposing sign was. These two sit next to each other. They're called connecting signs. The wolf is the constellation Lupus, which borders Libra. Now you have Leo, Virgo, and Libra. That's 3 signs in a row. So a very distinct pattern being made. The lamb is Aries, which is the wolf's opposing sign. The lamb is Aries, which is the wolf's opposing sign. The dog is Canis Major, which is 11 stars in Cancer. Now you have Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and Libra. That's 4 signs in a row. The pig is a constellation called Porcus, which is in the southern sky, which disappears April 1st. Supposedly discovered by the Greeks in the 5th century BC, yet the Chinese have it in their zodiac, if not longer. So what I just showed you was 55 or 5,000 to 6,000 year old tablets. I gave you 3 of them. So let's move on. Let's get closer to our time. The Enuma Elish, it's Babylonian. Then Tiamat enlisted a horned snake, a Musushu dragon, a mad dog, and a scorpion man, half fish, and half man, excuse me, half bull. The horned snake is a constellation called Ophiuchus, which is the 13th zodiac sign in sidereal Vedic astrology. A dragon, Draco, the mad dog is the dog star Sirius. The scorpion man is Scorpio and Aquarius mix, the scorpion and the man. Half man, half fish is the Aquarius Pisces border, which blends the fish and the man sign. And the half man, half bull, which is half Aquarius, the man, and half Taurus. So you've got 1, then you've got Draco, which is Aries to Sagittarius. So you got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 signs, 8 out of 13. I go into other videos explaining the difference between Vedic and tropical. Tropical is what I usually use, but there's 8. The Code of Hammurabi, this is where we get how laws are put together. This is the original law. Basically, like if you did this, then you should pay this person this. And if you did this, then this should happen to this. That's basically where this all comes from. It's a Babylonian text. Man has stolen an ox or sheep or ass or pig or ship, whether from the temple or the palace, he shall pay 30-fold. The man sign is Aquarius. The ox is Taurus. The sheep is Aries. The ass, the donkey, is a Salus Borealis located in Cancer, and the pig is a constellation called Porcus. The ship is a constellation called Argo that goes from Cancer to Scorpio. Incidentally, also, Taurus, the ox, and the sheep Aries, those are connecting signs on the zodiac. There are 7 signs total here. The Egyptian Book of the Dead. So now we're getting even further. So we did the Sumerians, we did the Babylonians, now the Egyptians. Almighty of Knives, Lady of the Two Lands, the one who smashed the enemies of the weary-hearted one, the one who does what is wise, the one free of wrong. The name of its gatekeeper is Long-Horned Bull. What is to be said when arriving at the 5th portal? Words spoken by the Osiris Ani, the vindicated, O fiery one, mistress of heat, the joyful one, the one whom the entities of the bald-headed do not descend, the one who asks that someone be given to her without swift of glance entering into her. The name of its gatekeepers is one who spears disaffected. The lady is Virgo, the woman. The long-horned bull is Taurus, the bull. The spear represents Sagittarius, the man with the bow and the arrow, sometimes translated as a spear. I'm going to give you an example of why it is the spear, because we're talking about, I mentioned to you Sagittarius is the death, right? December 21st. That's why when you're talking about death, they're referencing Sagittarius. Well, here's the thing. If you go further along down in the timeline in the Bible, in the Old Testament and the New Testament, the 2 most important murders in the entire book out of the 66 books happen here. The first important murder is Cain and Abel. The second one is Jesus. Well, Jesus, how is he killed? With the spear of destiny to his side to check if he's dead. The other thing is Cain and Abel. Whereas Abel hits Cain in the head with a rock and then buries him. That has nothing to do with a spear. However, the name Cain in Hebrew translates to spear. So the spear is the instrument of death. So the spear is very important. So I wanted to share that with you. Chapter for becoming Ptah. Excuse me. Eating bread, drinking beer, purifying the hinder parts, and being alive in Heliopolis. This is still the Egyptian Book of the Dead, by the way. What will you live on? Says the God. Say the gods and spirits to me. I will live and have power through bread. Where will you eat it? Say the gods and the spirits to me. I will have power and eat it under the branches of the tree of Hathor, my mistress, who made an offering of bread, beer, and corn in Heliopolis. Those who are in Heliopolis bow their heads to me, for I am their Lord. I am their bull. The bread, beer, corn is all Virgo, as I've mentioned, when you harvest. The bull is Taurus. Heliopolis is the city of light in Egypt. It was called On. That's why when you go into a room today to become enlightened with light, you turn them on. And I am their bull. The Lord is the bull. Why is the Lord bull? Because during the Egyptian time, it was the age of Taurus, Taurus being the bull. And it goes further than that too. It's why the Hindus venerate the cow being the female bull, has to do with the age that they came around. I'm not going to go into this much in this chapter, but the Egyptians venerated the bull. The Jews venerated the ram. That's why they blow the ram's horn to the sky, because the Jews are the people of Aries. You have the Jesus fish, right? Jesus was the Piscean solar deity. That's why he feeds the masses with two fish. And now we're in the age of Aquarius. So moving on, the emerald tablets of Thoth. This is also Egyptian. Although rumors have it that this is 36,000 years old. But that's for a whole nother video. Free is Amenti to the Son of Man. Notice here how he says Son of Man instead of S-O-N of man. How it's supposed to be accurate. It's as above, so below. Deep beneath the rocks, I buried my spaceship, waiting the time when man might be free. Over the spaceship erected a marker in the form of a lion, yet alike unto a man. There neath the image rests yet my spaceship, forth to be brought when need shall arise. So there is deep research that there is an interdimensional, thus interdimensional spaceship is 3 atoms thick and is buried under one of the chambers of the Sphinx. Now the lion is Leo and the man is Aquarius. These are opposing signs on the zodiac. The Book of Enoch. Now, okay, so we've done the we've done the Sumerians, the Babylonians, the Egyptians. Now I'm going to do all the Gnostic texts. Again, the reason I'm not using the canonized Bible is because I have a whole video series on that. This is just to trace the outline for this. So the Book of Enoch, chapter 8:2. Some Jaza taught enchantments. Amoros, the resolving of enchantments. Barakiel taught astrology. Kokabel, the constellations. Ezekiel, the knowledge of the clouds. Sariel, the course of the moon. Everything you hear, you need to know to understand astrology, to understand the way that things are encoded. You think there's a reason why they didn't leave the Book of Enoch in the Bible? I mean, the Ethiopians still have it in the Bible, but you think there's a reason they removed this? Something to do with the Roman Catholic Catechism 2116, that astrology is evil? Look into that. 51.4, this is still the Book of Enoch. And in those days shall the mountains leap like rams, Aries, and the hills shall also skip like lambs, Aries, satisfied with the milk, the Milky Way galaxy, whose center is in Sagittarius. Now we're in the Gospel of Q. The Gospel of Q is supposed to be the closest living word or the actual words of Jesus. Give us our daily bread today. Which of you would give your child a stone if they asked for bread? Or would you give them snake if they asked for fish? Well, the bread is Virgo, the lady with the weed stalk. The snake is Ophiuchus. And the fish is Pisces. Pisces and Virgo are opposing signs. Not only are they making patterns in the sky, guys, but they're making very distinct astrologically important patterns, like opposing signs and neighboring signs. It has a lot to do with the energies. Everyone who divorces his wife and remarries is unfaithful to her. And whoever marries someone who's divorced is unfaithful too. Which of you, if you had 100 sheep and lost one of them, wouldn't leave the 99 in the hills and go after the one that got lost? So divorce, marriage, court, law is all Libra. And the sheep is Aries. Again, those are opposing signs. The Sacred Gospel of John. Sophia saw what her desire produced. It changed into the form of a dragon with a lion's head. So at this point, you should start to be noticing these patterns. The dragon is the sign Draco, which goes from Aries to Sagittarius. The lion's head is Leo, the lion. Now, Aquarius, which is part of those four signs, and Leo are opposing signs. The Gospel of Thomas. Happy is the lion that a man will eat. The lion will become a man. Cursed is the man whom the lion eats, for that lion will become a man. Talking about ingesting an animal and their components will become part of you or you part of them. However, in astrology, the lion is the sign Leo and the sign of the man is Aquarius. These are opposing signs. Man is like a skilled angler who casts his net up and draws it full of fish. The man is Aquarius. And the sign of fish is Pisces. These are connecting signs right next to each other. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Mary questioned her master. At the end of an eon will all matter be destroyed. Each zodiac sign is called a house. So a house of Aquarius, the house of Pisces. Each sign is also called an eon. Luke 22:10, he replied, as you enter the city, a man carrying a jar of water will meet you. Follow him to his house that he enters. Who's the man with the water pitcher? It's Aquarius. He's telling you to meet him in the sign of Aquarius. That's where you're going to have your next Passover. That's what Jesus said to the disciples. It's important to know too that at the time frame that this was written, men never carried water. It was a feminine job, and it was a very gendered job. Women carried the water. The men wouldn't be caught dead carrying the water. So the fact that they're telling them to meet a man in town with a water pitcher, it's Aquarius. The Gospel of Philip. When he came to his disciples in splendid glory on the Mount of Olives, he wasn't small. He became great and made disciples great, so you could see him in his greatness. On that day, he said in gratitude, you who have united perfect light with Holy Spirit, unite us with the angels as well. Don't scorn the Lamb. Without him, it is impossible to know the King. No one may visit the King without robes of light. Remember the olives? When you crush them, that's Libra. The Lamb is Aries. Libra and Aries are opposing signs, again with these very consistent patterns. The Good Samaritan gave wine and oil to the weak man. Wine and oil both come from Libra. The Gospel of Judas. A nearby lake of stilled waters quenched our thirst. The place reminded us of David's famed shepherd psalm, our souls were restored. The lake of the still waters is Pisces, the water. The shepherd is in Aries. Those are connecting signs. The Book of Jubilees. And on the second day, he created the firmament in the midst of the waters, and the waters were divided on that day. Half of them went above, and half of them went below, down below the firmament. I've mentioned this before, but the firmament is not a dome over a flat earth. This is such a misconception that leads people blind. The firmament are the dividing lines between signs. Some call them cusps, other handover dates, others dividers. There are many names for what they represent, which is when a sign hands over the energy to another sign. The waters, multiple, are Aquarius, the man with the water pitcher, and Pisces, the two fish with the water. Remember how I mentioned there were two waters? So let's read this one more time. And on the second day, he created the firmament. So the firmament is the dividing line between the two. In the midst of the waters, and the waters were divided on day. Half of them went above, Aquarius above, and half of them went below the firmament. That's Pisces. Gospel of Emmanuel, discovered by Billy Meyer. Some people call it Emmanuel. Emmanuel was the name given to Christ. You brood of vipers, in 2 times 1,000 years, you and your descendants who carry on false teachings out of your own pride for motives of power and greed shall be punished and your lives destroyed. So it will be when the human race begins to comprehend and separate the wheat from the chaff. The wheat is Virgo. That is when you separate the wheat from the chaff. This is astrotheology. The false teachings are the literal teachings they make, but the important thing in this gospel is, as Emmanuel predicts, that in 2,000 years, the truth will come to light. This is a passage that we hear often. It tells you of the New Age Aquarius that is predicted to come to light. So this book was supposedly written around the time 2,000 years ago. So 2,000 years later, the truth is going to come out. Interesting. Nevertheless, do not, this is still the gospel of Emmanuel. Nevertheless, do not heed these false teachings, because millennia will pass before people of these human races will be able to recognize the truth. Hence, following the fulfillment of your mission, centuries and 2 millennia will pass before the truth of your knowledge brought among the people will be recognized and disseminated by some humans. So it's another example. Here's the thing. This earth can nourish and support 500 million people of all the human races. But if these laws are not followed, in 2,000 years, 10 times 500 million people will exist, and the earth will not be able to support them anymore. So 2,000 years ago, they said that the earth can support 500 million people. Now, in 2,000 years, 10 times that, that's 5 billion. Right on track. Right on track. Where have we heard the 500 million before, guys? This gospel was discovered in 1963. Maybe it was something that was created in 1980, like the Georgia Guidestones that was recently destroyed. Humanity, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. I'm completely convinced it was from this gospel that they pulled this out of their ass. Since the human races will at that time comprise far more than 10 times 500 million people, great parts of them will be eradicated and killed. This is why all the elites are trying to, through everything they do, through the food, through the shots, through Roundup, through basically the chemtrails, through 5G, through everything, through the confusion of our youth, not knowing what they're doing sexually, to the lowering birth rates. Everything that they do is to lower the population, everything. And it's a complete lie too, because the truth is that we have high populations in major cities and along the coasts. There is a lot of land. You could give every single person in the world a 2,000-foot square home, and they would all fit in Alaska. If you were to put every single person in the entire world shoulder to shoulder, there would still be room in the Grand Canyon. We are not overpopulated, but I think this is where it came from. Truly I say to you, from now on I will no longer drink of the fruit of the vineyard, nor eat of the bread until I drink and eat again with you after my affliction. So the grapes are Libra, and the bread is Virgo. These are connecting signs on the zodiac. The Quran. You guys ready for this? Those who do not know say, why has not the Lord turned the word to us? And why will he not show us a sign from heaven? Similar words were spoken by those who came before them. Their hearts are like, we interpret the signs for those who are committed to the faith with all their soul. Looking for a sign in heaven. They're literally talking about God showing them a sign or interpreting it for them. They interpret the signs for those who are committed to their faith. These are other people who understand the zodiac, who understand the path that I've just laid out for you that's 6,000 years long. We went from 5,500 BC to what? 1,380 so far? And how beautiful all people see the love of earthly passions. Here are women and sons. There are mountains of silver and gold, and marked horses, and herds of cattle, and a plowed field. Women are Virgo, the sign of the woman. The sons are the boys in Gemini. Horses are Sagittarius, and cattle is Taurus. A plowed field is Taurus as well. Taurus and Gemini are connecting signs. Gemini and Sagittarius are opposing signs. This is the Quran with astrotheology, by the way. Verily, in the creation of earth and sky, and in the change of night to day, here are the hidden signs for those who have intelligence. It's the zodiac. When you understand that it's the zodiac and this is what they're talking about, this makes a lot of sense. Surah 6, the cattle. And among them are those who only pretendingly listen to you. We put a cover on their hearts so they would not understand it. We cover their ears with deafness. And even if they see all the signs, they will not believe them. The signs in heaven. What do they say in the Bible? Job 38:32. God says, the first thing he says back to Job, can you lead forth the Mazzaroth? Do you know your zodiac? That's what it means, Mazzaroth. Mazzaroth means zodiac. This is all about the zodiac. He is the one who brings down water to you from the sky. And with it, we give plants all kinds to grow. And with it, we grow shoots of cereals. From them, we grow grains. Sitting in an ear of a dents side by side, from the date palm, its ovaries, bunches of fruit hanging low, gardens of vines, olives, pomegranates, which in many ways are so similar yet so different from each other. When fruits appear on them, rejoice how they are poured and ripen. Truly in this are hidden signs for those who believed in God. So let's break down those hidden signs. Grains are planted in Taurus. Then April showers bring May flowers, water from the sky, the grains grow. You reap in Virgo. Gardens of vines and olives, while the grapes and the olives are both pressed in Libra. These are the hidden signs. You reap in Virgo, and then you press in Libra. Virgo and Libra are connecting signs. And whoever wants to own a beautiful garden of date palms and vines, which is washed by abundant streams, where for his pleasure all kinds of fruit, while old age befalls him and the children are weak, so that a fiery whirlwind falls on the garden and swallows it all to ashes. So the Lord explains his signs so that you can understand. It's the signs. Vines are vineyard in Libra. The streams are the streams of the water sign of Pisces and Aquarius. God explains these 12 signs so you can understand what I'm teaching you. The Book of Mormon. You didn't think it was not going to be in this, did you? Nevertheless, I went forth as I came near unto the house of Laban. I beheld a man, and he had fallen to the earth before me, for he was drunken with wine. Yeah, and I also thought that they could not keep the commandments of the Lord according to the law of Moses, save they should have the law. Both wine and lawly things take place in Libra. Notice how they're back to back, just like I explained it earlier. And my father said he should baptize in Bethabara, beyond Jordan, and he also said he should baptize with water, even that he should baptize the Messiah with water. And after he had baptized the Messiah with water, he should behold and bear record that he had baptized the Lamb of God, who should take away the sins of the world. The baptism is literally Aquarius. It's a man holding a water pitcher, pouring the water out. That's how the priest does it. The Lamb of God is Aries. And after the house of Israel should be scattered, they should be gathered together again. Or, in fine, after the Gentiles have received the fullness of the gospel, the natural branches of the olive tree, or the remnants of the house of Israel, should be grafted in or come to the knowledge of the true Messiah, their Lord and their Redeemer. Therefore, remember, O man, for all thy doings thou shalt be brought into judgment. Olives take place in Libra. The judgment takes place in Libra. And I looked and beheld the Lamb of God, that he was taken by the people. Yea, the Son of the everlasting God was judged of the world. And I saw and bear record. The Lamb of God is Aries. The Son of God, or the Son of Man, is Aquarius. Judging takes place in Libra. Libra and Aries are opposing signs. I just took you through 6,000 years worth of literature that has survived. It isn't so much more, but this is the hidden thread. This is what the books are actually talking about. This is what they all are. All your religious texts, they're not different from each other. They're all talking about the same thing. You're talking about Jesus, the Son deity. In fact, if you want to talk about names given to him in church, we can go do that. In Aquarius, the sign of the man, he's called the Son of Man. In Pisces, the sign of the fish, he's known as the fisherman of men, and that's why he feeds the masses with 2 fish. Aries is the ram. He's known as the Lamb of God or the Good Shepherd. You have Cancer, the scarab. St. Augustine called him the good beetle. You have Leo the lion. He's called the Lion of Judah. The lady holding the stalk of wheat, Virgo. He's born of a virgin, and he's called the bread of life. Libra, the justice, the judgment. He's called the just one. It's all astrology, people. Now, if you find this interesting, or if you obviously I want you guys to share this, but I've gone much deeper into the hidden history of the actual Bible. I have a book series that is out. These are the topics discussed in my book series: gematria, etymology, numerology, astronomy, astrology, astrotheology, out-of-body experiences, the Akashic records, symbology, remote viewing, religious secrets, capstones of the pyramids, DNA encoding, mystery school channelers, near-death experiences, DMT monitoring, lucid dreaming, acoustic levitation, physics and quantum physics, psychotherapy, psychology, spiritual guides, and shared dreaming, crystal technology, conspiracies that not many people know about, corruption, and secret societies. My series is called Into the Rabbit Hole. You can get it on Amazon. You can reach out to me on social media. My email address is intotherabbitholeseries@gmail.com. I expose, if you like how I expose this, the things that I expose in these books, I don't even really make videos about. I can't really, I read my own books sometimes when I have to re-reference it. And it's got this kind of stuff. It's got the hidden truth of everything in it. I have a kid's book, A is for Aries. This is how you start the kids off with astrotheology for 6 to 11-year-olds. And this is what I want you guys to take away from this. This is a quote from John Dominic Crossan. My point, once again, is not that those ancient people told literal stories, and we are now smart enough to take them symbolically, but that they told them symbolically, and we are now dumb enough to take them literally. And that is the problem with the world. You understand what the books are actually really trying to say to you. That's how you bring peace in the world. So please share this. And I thank you all very much tonight.